Hi everybody, so today I am back with an antique and vintage jewelry haul. I'm going to share some of the pieces that I've picked up while I've been away from YouTube for a few months. I've still been collecting things and I have some interesting pieces to share, and I actually have an item that I'm hoping you guys can help me identify. So let's see what to share first. So I think I'm going to share what's in this little jewelry casket here. So we have a tiny little veterans thrift store that's cash only in my town, and I actually picked up this little jewelry casket for $1, which was incredible. And at that same store, they had a little display of jewelry. So the first thing I found was this pair of earrings here, and these turned out to be 14 karat gold with these beautiful little opals. I'm sure that my camera is not going to pick these up very well, but they do have some really beautiful color flashes. There's a little bit of red and green and blue. So maybe I can do another shot of these in the sunlight. I might be able to pick that up. But these were only 50 cents, so what a steal. Happy to have found those. And the other item I found there was this little pin, and I believe this was $1. And on the very back here, it is marked 10K. So I believe this is a 10 karat gold pin with a tiny little seed pearl. I believe it's an Avon pin that was sort of a gift or an award for having sold X amount of dollars or something like that. When I looked this up, this same pin popped up, I think with Avon. So yeah, but that was a great little find for $1. Happy about that. And then I picked up a craft jewelry bag at my antique store, I don't know, probably 3 weeks ago now. And I saw this through the bag and thought it was beautiful. And even if it was costume, I thought, you know, that's worth it. The bag, I don't know if I mentioned, the bag itself was $20 and there was a lot of little odds and ends in it, but this was in there. And, you know, when I got it home, I noticed that it was definitely a real shell cameo, and it has a pin and it's also a pendant. And this little bale spins. Let's see if I can pick this up on camera. Not sure if it's going to cooperate. Probably not, but up at the very, very top there, it is marked 14K. So that was a great score, this 14 karat shell cameo. And she's really beautiful. I love her hair. Look how beautiful the setting is. Gorgeous. So I was happy to add that to my collection. And then this is the piece that I am most interested in, and I'm really hoping somebody out there may have seen before. So this I picked up in a different craft bag, also from my antique store. This one I think was a $10 bag. It was mostly parts and pieces, and this popped out of it. And initially I set it to the side and I thought it was interesting, and I was like, oh, that looks like bone. How interesting. I went through the whole bag, and you know, a couple hours later I came back to my pile and pulled this back out and was like, maybe I should look at this closer. So as you can see, it is a carved bone, rectangular shaped pendant, and it has this gold leaf kind of floral design on it. And as I was looking closer, I noticed that it has this little panel with a tiny little hole, and I really wasn't sure what it was, but I figured it probably opened. So let's see if I can open it here without losing what's inside. Yeah, I might have to do that off camera and come back. So the little panel slides out, and inside are tiny little carved bone dice. How cool. So I immediately was intrigued and thought, this is really, really adorable and really interesting. I've never seen anything like it. And yeah, the dice are bone as well. You know, they're traditional die with all of our numbers. How interesting. So I went online and I tried to find pendants. I looked up, you know, vintage dice pendants, and I was coming up with some Japanese mahjong type pendants. And finally I found one listing, only one other that I personally could find online, of a carved bone pendant with die. It looks very, very similar. I'm going to hopefully add this image into the video here and pull that listing up again, but it was from an auction house. And it was described as a Georgian dice pendant, and it was exactly the same. It had the exact same veil on it, the exact same construction, and it was also made of bone. However, the pendant itself did not have the gold leafing on it. It also came with 3 dice, just like this one. So if, that listing is to be believed, which, I never know, you always want to do extra research. Just because one seller sold it as something, that doesn't always mean that that's accurate, but it was an auction house and it looked fairly reputable. So if I'm to believe that listing, this is potentially a Georgian carved bone pendant, which is incredible. I just think it's so interesting and really, really cool. So I was hoping that some of my antique jewelry friends here on YouTube may have seen something like this before and potentially had more information for me. So yeah, either way, it's incredibly beautiful. It's incredibly cool. The craftsmanship it took to carve those teeny tiny die and have this little door, and this door locks very securely, actually. Like it's pretty hard to open. So those dice are not going anywhere if you have this around your neck. But just a really interesting item, I thought. So yeah, I would love to know more about it. If you know, please leave me a comment below. Okay, what next? So here's something new that I've started to collect. So I've recently learned about Dragon's Breath glass, and I've become kind of enamored with it. I've been watching Sunday Baubles channel, which if you are a jewelry lover and you've not checked out her channel, please do. She's incredibly knowledgeable and I'm fascinated by her presentations. And she's really more of a jewelry historian than anything, and a collector, and I just love listening to her speak about jewelry. But anyway, she had an episode on glass and she was talking about Dragon's Breath glass. So this here is, I believe, an Art Deco period, marked sterling here on the back, sterling silver Dragon's Breath glass brooch. And obviously if you look at the blue breath that you can see here in the glass in certain light, that is where it gets its name, the Dragon's Breath glass. If you look at these in certain light, it just looks like a pink orange color glass, and then as the light shifts, you see this blue iridescence in it, and it's so gorgeous. And apparently essentially the recipe to make this type of glass was lost to time, so that is why it is so collectible and incredibly rare. They've tried to replicate this type of glass, but they can't hit it exactly right. There is a Mexican opal that is very, very close, but it's not quite the same. So yes, I've started to collect this type of glass. I think it's incredibly beautiful. And yeah, this is one of the brooches I've picked up recently. This other one is not as nice of an example, but it has a really beautiful silver surround. Here's what the back of this one looks like. An older C-clasp, but unfortunately this glass one is chipped and it has an area here that is not fully colored. It's like a lighter spot, and the breath just isn't as intense as the other brooch, but still beautiful. If I hold in this light, you can see that breath a little better. But yeah, this is the second brooch I picked up. And then finally, I found this tiny little stick pin, and let's see, it is marked sterling. Let's see if I can find it on the pin somewhere. Oh, there it is. So it is marked sterling there on the pin, and it just has this tiny little bezel set piece of Dragon's Breath glass. And this one's a much lighter color. It looks more yellow to me from the side, but there is that little pink shift, and then of course that gorgeous, gorgeous Dragon's Breath iridescent glow that happens in the light. So beautiful. Honestly, I can just stare at this and admire it. So beautiful. I ordered a bracelet, a Dragon's Breath bracelet from a seller on eBay that is being shipped, so when that arrives, I will show you that as well. It looks really beautiful and I'm excited to see it in person. And then this bracelet I found at my antique store for a good price. I think it was under $20, and I said, that's beautiful. I think I'll take it for that price. So it's just little, I think these are pansies, but it's just so beautiful. I think it would make a really nice stacking bracelet. It's a nice size, and it does have the safety chain still attached. Yeah, this is most likely a replacement clasp because these lobster clasps are a bit newer, and I do think this bracelet is vintage. But either way, really, really beautiful. Excited to wear that piece. Let's see, what else? Oh, these little earrings. I found these in a shop for $2, and I recognized them to be Bakelite, and it looks like they were once buttons that were converted and glued onto these backs, but that is okay by me. It has some really beautiful carving, just these little vines, and that gorgeous avocado green Bakelite color, and I have tested them to confirm. So that is being added to my Bakelite collection. Let's see, what else? In that same jewelry bag that I found, the 14 karat gold cameo, this was also in that bag. And now this is not 14 karat gold, but it is gold filled. Let's see. Yep, and you can see the gold filled marking. It's marked on the back of every single little cameo piece here. It's an interesting construction, the rivets. But these are carved shell cameos. You know, the carvings are hand done. They're not quite as nice as the cameo over here, but I still think it's beautiful. They're all, each one is a little bit different because you can tell they were done by hand. There's a fold over clasp. So yeah, just a nice shell cameo bracelet. And then I found a few more Bohemian garnet pieces. I've shared a few of them on my channel before. It's something that I love to collect and I think is really beautiful. So these are pyrope garnets, I believe, at least based on what I've been learning and researching. And they are Bohemian garnets, and it does have an older tube hinge and a C-clasp. Just so beautiful in this star shape. So beautiful. They definitely glow. Gorgeous. And then this one is not new. I just don't think I've shared it on here before, and if I have, I apologize. But this is another garnet brooch, but it is so tiny, and the stones are so small. I just think it's really adorable. And here's what the back of this one looks like. It does have a newer clasp, but you can see the solder there. So it may be a replacement, I'm not sure. But I think this is really beautiful. Just how tiny these stones are. It's an interesting one. And then I found this necklace for $6. And it is missing a stone. Let's see if I can, yeah, it's missing a stone right up the top here. And I do not have a Presidium gem tester. I only have a diamond selector, which only tells you so much information. So when I use that on this piece, it does test above the glass, which would have essentially no reaction. So I believe this to be garnet. The reason that I question it is that the backing is kind of unfamiliar. Typically, they have a closed back. So if I can pull these pieces here, like they're typically a closed solid back, where this one is open. So I'm not sure, but I do believe it to be garnet. It sure looks like garnet to me, and either way it is really beautiful. I thought it was worth taking the risk at the price point that I found it for. So I'll have to do some more research and hopefully replace that stone, but really, really pretty. Let's see, and then this giant piece here, I just thought this was cool. This was in the case at my local antique store, and it is celluloid. So I believe it's from the 1940s, possibly the 1930s. Any other vintage jewelry lovers out there, if you have more information on this type of piece, let me know. But the chain itself is all links made out of celluloid, and this beautiful cameo. I mean, look at how stunning the design is. I love the flowers in her hair. She's got a really beautiful face. just really cool. And it is set into this wood piece, and it's really, really lightweight. It's a lightweight wood, and the celluloid itself is very lightweight, but it's in wonderful condition, and I just thought it was cool. I could not leave it in the case. So I have that piece. And then this one here, I need to find more information about. So this to me looks like a Victorian style pendant, or maybe Edwardian. Again, I am new to vintage and antique jewelry. I love it. I've been watching a lot of videos and content about it, trying to learn, but I am still new, so please correct me if I'm off on any identification here, but I love the style of this. And if you look at how, I believe these are just faux pearls, but look at the setting that these are on. They're really, really high, really interesting. We have these tiny stones, which might be rubies, they may be glass. And then the clasp on this piece is an older style spring ring where it does not have, you know, the little bar to push. You have to kind of slip your finger in like that to open it. So I know that that is an older style, but just really beautiful. I love the look of it. It looks antique, I think it is, but I don't know if this is a low carat gold or if it's gold filled. I tried to test it with the 10 karat jewelry acid, and it holds for a moment and then disappears. So that could mean it's like a 9 karat gold, or it could just be gold filled potentially. But it's beautiful. I love the look of this one. Oh, and then this here, I'm gonna scoot this back. We're gonna bring this over. So this is another thing that I've started collecting recently. So I had a few of these butterfly wing pieces, and then I sort of became enamored with them and was on the hunt. So the first pieces, I think the ones I've shown here before, just quickly pull those out. Yes, so these are the pieces that I've shown on this channel before. We have this gorgeous bird set in lucite. We have this sterling silver piece with a mosaic inlay bird. This really interesting desert scene. I just loved how different this one was. And then this piece, which is just the butterfly wing set in sterling. So I love all of these pieces, but I've been adding to my collection since my last video. And if you can tell, I really like the pieces that are just the wing. So I like the interesting scenes, but I don't know, there's something so beautiful about the color and iridescence of just the butterfly wings. So these are all pieces I've picked up recently. This one here is really, really large, and it is a pendant. Here's what the bail looks like, and the back. It is marked sterling silver, let's see, sterling silver England, but a really nice large pendant one, love it. And then this one is gorgeous. This one is more of a green, which typically they're this blue color, but I mean, just look how gorgeous. This teal green, you know, nature really knows what it's doing. You know, it's hard, we can't recreate this. So I don't know, there's something really beautiful about these pieces. I love them, I love collecting them, and you can typically find them for a decent price point. They don't break the bank too much. Yeah, and then this oval one and this really beautiful diamond shaped piece. These ones are also sterling. The tube hinges and the C clasp. So really pretty. And then, let's see. These are not quite as expensive or as nice of pieces. This ring here is sterling, but it's gotten a little bit of water damage. So whenever you see that kind of darker brownish color, that typically means that some water or dampness has gotten behind the glass and affected the wing. But I still think it's pretty, and I still do wear this despite that. So we have that piece, and then this one, I found this for only a few dollars at an antique store. This one is just pot metal, but adorable, cute. I could not leave it there. Okay, and then these pieces, I have these hooked to this here. So then I found this one, which is sterling silver, and it's that classic tropical scene reverse painted. This is Hoffman sterling, and the chain is this really nice older style clasp where you just press it and it hooks in that way, and the little clasp is also marked sterling. Really pretty. I've worn this out a few times. So this one actually came attached to this brooch holder, and this is marked sterling, WL. So this is beautiful. I removed it just to wear as a pendant, but it can easily be put back on. If you see the way this functions here, so it's just this little hook that you could slip any pendant on. So I think this is a really nice functional piece that I could use for many different pendants. Beautiful, but the piece I was looking for when I purchased it was this. So this is a butterfly wing piece, but it is reversible, and we have the whole butterfly in there. And there is this mother of pearl backing, some dried flowers, and the whole morpho butterfly. And on this side, it's similar, but just a different design. So beautiful. I prefer this side, but I love that it's reversible. I think it's really interesting. I'll be looking for more of this style. How beautiful is that? Love it. So yeah, so that's a new thing I've started to collect that I wanted to share with you all. What else have I not shared? Okay, this piece. So this is just a really beautiful carved mother of pearl necklace. It is missing the clasp on the end, but I think that's a fairly easy repair and something I could do myself. But I just loved this heart pendant. I mean, look at how high the carving is. It's so beautiful. And I love the beads on it as well. I just thought it was beautiful. I know these mother of pearl pieces don't go for too much. They don't have a ton of value, but I just love them. I think I have a thing for the iridescent. So I love it in the mother of pearl, the dragon's breath glass, the butterfly. I think I'm learning that about myself. Let's see. Oh yeah, so this one's interesting. This one is just a fun one, I think. This is, let's see, a really large gold tone with some little seed pearls. We're missing a few, and these cabochon stones. It's just such a cool style. It's kind of gothic or medieval looking to me. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's just a revival type of piece, not real gold, but cool nonetheless. Here's what the back of this looks like. Maybe like a 1940s piece, maybe later, I really am not sure. And possibly this chain was added later, but here's what that looks like. I just loved the style of it. I love how it looks kind of displayed in my curio cabinet. Just a really cool piece, I thought, and wasn't too much money. And then finally, this is just something I thought was beautiful that came out of my a craft bag, that actually the same bag that the tiny carved bone piece came out of. This was in pieces, so there was little pieces of chain kind of scattered throughout the bag, and I did put it back together. So it is a rosary, but what I loved about it were these glass beads. So you have these gorgeous cut glass beads that are cased. So you have the cobalt royal blue on the inside, and then the clear cut glass outside. I just thought these beads were stunning, so I was happy to be able to repair this rosary and save it. Yeah, just a beautiful vintage rosary. So I think that's everything on this tray. I hope this was fun to watch. If you have any more information for me about any of these pieces, especially this bone piece, I'm so interested to know more about it. I would love for you to leave me a comment. If you like these types of videos and you are another jewelry lover, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I will be back with more jewelry for you in the next one. Bye guys.